Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 6.
Fire crews continue to work at the crash site of a train and a semi carrying propane. Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Andrea has the evening off. Callaway, Minnesota is north of Detroit Lakes, Minnesota, about 20 minutes. The crash site is near the town, whose population of about 220 was evacuated as a precaution. The train belongs to Canadian Pacific, which tells us that 7 empty cars derailed along with 1 locomotive. Valley News Team's Natalie Parsons is live at the scene. She joins us now. Natalie, what's it like out there?
Mike, I am at Beautiful Savior Lutheran Church, located about a quarter of a mile from the site of the crash just outside Callaway. Earlier, you could see the smoke in the distance. The plans as of now are to keep the tank cool and just let it burn out on its own. The driver of the truck has no reported injuries, but 2 people on the train were treated for non-life-threatening injuries. Local, county, and state agencies are working as a team in an effort to make sure the situation does not take a turn for the worst.
Anytime a vehicle ends up against a train, it's usually not good. So for crashes involving trains that people can walk away from, I'd say that people are very lucky in that sense. I mean, it could always be a lot worse.
Law enforcement went door to door evacuating the town of Callaway and a little before 1 p.m. this afternoon, and the Red Cross has since come to help. I was told that those evacuated are now being escorted to their homes if they're in need of medication. And if you're driving along Highway 59, your north detour is Becker County Road 14, and your south detour is Becker County Road 26. In Callaway, Minnesota, Natalie Parsons, Valley News Live.
All right, thanks, Natalie. We'll have more on this story throughout the night on valleynewslive.com and, of course, on Valley News Live 10 at 10. The sun popped out today, which added to our desire for spring to heat things up. Sure a lot better than to the south of us. Let's head over to Hutch for a first look at tonight's forecast. Hutch?
Nothing to shovel here in Fargo, and a temperature of 50 degrees. Currently, it's 10 degrees warmer in Bismarck as the heat builds to the west. It's heading our way. Taking a look elsewhere, Detroit Lakes in the mid-40s, as is Fergus Falls and War Road. Crookston at that same level. And as we look elsewhere across the area, we are seeing temperatures that are in the mid-40s for Wahpeton. Upper 40s, though, for Park Rapids and Wheaton. Your planner for tonight shows quiet weather with a few sprinkles along the international border this evening. We'll all see increasing clouds late tonight. It looks a little breezier. For some of us, we'll have mild weather for part of Friday. For others, it looks like a cold and blustery day. I'll have details on what you can expect. Some will see a little snow. Those details are straight ahead.
I hope few.
Yeah.
All right, thanks. Now on to a Valley News Live exclusive. A controversial West Fargo school teacher and coach has agreed to early retirement. Jim Jonas was in the news a couple of years ago when his fiery personality generated complaints from parents. He resigned as an assistant coach, agreed to work on problem areas, and later was reinstated to some of his coaching duties. In lieu of his resignation, the school district is offering to pay $22,000 to his teacher retirement. Assistant Superintendent for West Fargo, Alan Burgad, says such an offer is not a common practice. Burgad added that Mr. Jonas elected to retire and that he could not discuss personnel matters. Jonas also would agree to waive any future legal action against the district. The school board will take up the matter on Monday. We have new information for you tonight on a fraud investigation out of Valley City. Police tell Valley News Live that a Valley City State University employee who was arrested for identity theft may also be a flight risk. 33-year-old Long Min Rim Lau was taken into custody accused of counterfeiting credit cards. An anonymous tip to police was a picture of more than 200 credit cards, each with various names. We went to Valley City State University, where people there say they were surprised about the arrest. One former student tells us that he was a very tough professor and seemed like a nice guy.
We're attempting to get his bail raised because we feel he's a flight risk. He's here in the country on a visa, so the federal government is interested in that part of it.
Lau has been placed on administrative leave and banned from using the school's computers. Investigators are also looking into what he was doing with the cards and how he got them. Another likely heroin overdose in Moorhead, this one last night, making it the 4th in 1 week for that city. This time the individual survived. Moorhead police were called to a home where a 38-year-old man had collapsed and wasn't breathing. FM ambulance paramedics administered Narcan. That's being credited to help save the man's life. The cleanup continues at the site of a pipeline leak in Harwood, North Dakota that spilled more than 100 barrels of gas into the surrounding area. With more than 7,000 miles of pipeline in North Dakota, there's a good chance you live or work near one. Valley News Team's Cornelius Hawker shows us where some pipelines are in the valley and tells us what commonly causes leaks.
These maps show just a portion of the pipelines that traverse North Dakota. And earlier this week, people out in Harwood got a not-so-friendly reminder that they live near one of them.
The pipeline has been plugged, and it is not being used at this time until they make the repair.
Harwood Mayor Bill Warwick says crews are working diligently on fixing the problem and knows pipeline leaks like this don't happen too often.
The major leak that I can recall is about 20 years ago, and that was north of Harwood, about 3 miles in Brooktree Park.
A North Dakota Public Service Commissioner also wants people to know pipeline leaks aren't the norm, but rather the exception.
Pipelines are the safest way to move a product. I mean, period. It's safer to move them by pipeline than it is by rail. It's safer by pipeline than by truck, and it's very efficient. So, I mean, pipelines are a very, very safe way to move products.
If there is a leak, one of the main causes behind it may surprise you.
When pipelines do fail, you know, by far and away the biggest reason that there's pipeline failure is third-party damage.
For the people who live in Harwood, there's no timetable for when the work will be finished, but their mayor is certain of one thing.
Everything is under control. I don't think there's any issues that they need to be concerned with. The only thing that we asked is they try to stay out of the area because there's quite a bit of construction equipment there, and we don't need the extra traffic in the area.
In Harwood, Cornelius Hawker, Valley News Live.
Magellan Pipeline says no cause for the leak has been determined. Only one homeowner had to be evacuated. The city of Grand Forks had a big jump in violent crime last year. The latest numbers show violent crime saw a 39% increase over the previous year. They include murder, rape, robbery, and aggravated assault. The latest numbers point out a 29% increase over the 10-year average. However, police say the reality is that most crime in Grand Forks is not considered violent.
Theft of property, you know, shoplifters there are far more shoplifters, theft of bicycles, theft from motor vehicles than violent crime.
The biggest increase in citations from Grand Forks Police Department in last year were parking tickets. The number of parking tickets issued jumped 73% to nearly 16,000. We have much more information on Grand Forks' crime statistics online. Just head to valleynewslive.com and click on this story. Minnesota lawmakers are aiming to improve school security with a bill that calls for automatic expulsion of any student who attacks a teacher. The move follows a rash of high-profile assaults in a St. Paul, Minnesota high school. Teachers were assaulted while trying to break up fights between students. Minnesota Senator David Brown says his legislation is modeled after the Minnesota High School League's zero-tolerance rule for any student who attacks a referee, umpire, or official at a sporting event. Brown's bill would also allow the assault victims to decide whether the attacker can return to their classroom after the expulsion has ended. Now, according to a new report from the Minnesota Department of Education, there were over 3,800 school assaults statewide in the 2014-2015 academic year. Big day for the Fargo Dome for a couple of reasons. One, of course, Garth Brooks. The other was Carson Wentz. We'll have details on both of those stories later on Valley News Live at 6.
Footballs weren't the only thing flying high today across the valley. 50-degree weather, just gorgeous. And take a look at a sunset to remember. We'll have details on some snow in the forecast coming up right after this.